Hi everyone, in this video we will learn how to find out a research problem. To understand or to learn for finding research problem, we should first understand what is the literature review. So that is the first and foremost thing in research. To understand how to conduct a research literature review in research, and also what are the outcomes which comes from this literature review. Actually, when we conduct a literature review on a certain topic, we read so many papers, and um, we extract all the findings from the previous studies. So after extracting the findings from previous studies, we connect all these findings to know the to find the relationship between all these findings, and to make a conclusion from this all the studies which have conducted so far on that particular field. Okay, so in addition to that, we find some gaps in between these all studies. So finding these gaps is itself is a signboard for moving towards the finding research problem. So what is the research problem? Research problem is something which is not so far focused in that particular research area, which is not so far studied in that particular research area, becomes the research problem. So I explain this with the example, so that you will understand how we move from literature review to the that research problem. So even some may have a doubt, or some may don't have a knowledge about how to start even the literature review, because to start with the literature review they must have a certain topic, some certain they have to first identify area of research. So that is one important thing. The second thing is, from that area of research they have to find a specific area again to look into the literature. Usually this is a problem which many novice researchers encounters, that they fail to find out a broad research area or a specific research area initially, and then that same continues in a literature review and also in finding the research problem. Okay, so first of all, finding research area is one important thing. To find a research area, sometimes researchers, actually the novice researchers, they generally they when they start working in a research lab, or when they start applying for a research in a university, they find the areas of research from their research supervisors. That is one option. For example, cancer biology, some examples like environmental science or genetics, where some mutations and all those things are studied, and some microbiology, where some antibiotic resistance and such things are studied, evolution, where finding of new species and such things are studied. So this is how the broad area is initially selected by researchers. So the second thing, after finding a broad area, so in that particular broad area we have to find out a problem. That is another step, that is the next step, or that is moving from general to the specific. So finding a problem in that particular broad area is the next level task that is to be completed. So for example, it is for example, it's a pharmacology. There may be there the specific things, for example, the specific question or the specific area becomes like this, effect of the problem identification in that particular area. Pharmacology, for example, we can find out like drugs, where drugs have some negative effects on human health during the treatment, which we call it as side effects of the drugs, we say generally. So this is moving or finding the problem in that particular area. So after finding the problem in the area, then we look into the different studies that have focused on this particular problem. For example, when we say the side effects, so there may be many studies that have focused on the side effects of these drugs. So in such case, we have to start reading all the literature related to these side effects and what are the different findings of that studies, and what are the alternative approaches that are suggested by the previous literature. So when we study all those papers, we find out some alternative solutions or suggestions for these. So then we start looking into a new plant or which is already proved, or which is already found to be effective for some disease. So then we select a plant, and then we find out the problem in that particular area. We first initially highlight the problem in that particular area, the side effects or adverse effects of the drugs. So the alternative is the plants. So there are studies that proved so and so X or Y plant is effective against some disease. That is the way we have to look into the literature. And finally, after that, we find out that okay, this plant though is effective for a disease, some other disease. Use of that means no what I say. So using of this particular plant for this particular disease is not studied yet. So that is how we find out the gaps in the literature. So when we look into the literature, we find that there's many plants extracts have been used for treating the disease. There are many plants, but some plants still are not studied with respect to this particular disease. So we select that a new plant, and we will create a research question from this, the effect of this particular plant extract on this study investigates the effect of this particular plant in this particular disease. Okay, so that becomes the research problem. So this is how we have to move from the broad area to or general area of research to the research problem. So when we look into the general area, so there we only find out the area to select the research. So after that, we read some papers and we find out the problems in that particular broad area. So when we look into that problems in that broad area, for example, I say that for example, aquaculture is one broad area. So in aquaculture, you find that some heavy metals, pollution is one problem, acidification is one problem, global temperatures increase is another problem. So nanoparticles is one problem. So chemicals, so all these are industrial effluents. So all these are the problems which are existing, and some problems are related to their diseases spreading. So these are all problems present in that particular area. So these are all the problems in that particular research area. So you have to look into a particular problem. So when you look into that particular problem, you will get so many research papers, and from that research papers you have to find out what has been done so far in that particular problem. So when you look into that thing, so we find that some studies still are required to complete the knowledge, or to create a complete picture in that particular area. For example, you may find that with respect to the heavy metals, for example, you find that these heavy metals affect someone might have studied the effect of these heavy metals on their nervous system. Some might have studied the effect of these heavy metals on their endocrine system. Some might have studied on their behavior, and such things you might find in the literature. And you may not find probably effect of these metals on their for example reproductive system. So that is a gap. So you may find such gaps, and you may find such gaps, so that you can make your research problem out of that gap. So first you have to identify the gap, and then from that gap you have to make your research problem. So this is how we can move from the general area to the that is research problem. So uh, when many people they think about literature review, just they think about that literature review is just mentioning what the previous authors what previous authors said. It's not like that. Apart from mentioning what the previous author said, we have to even establish the connections between their previous authors' findings. Then also we have to make a statement on what is missing in the previous studies. For example, maybe the previous study might have done even with respect to the effect of metals on the reproductive system also. Maybe that the animal, the stage that they chose for study may be different, and maybe at different level or at different developmental stage, you may need to experiment. So in such case, we may say that no, previous studies, though they conducted or they performed or they studied the effect of heavy metals on the reproductive system. So the organism that they chose for these studies was just 2 months, or the duration they exposed for the fish is just 60 days. So you can change the duration periods, or you can change the developmental stage, and you can further contribute to that particular area of knowledge. So that is actually the science or the research where we continue our research on the foundation of the previous studies. So on the foundation of the previous studies only, we continue our research and we create the knowledge. So this knowledge always comes from always which grows or which builds on the previous knowledge. So it's not completely new knowledge that we can say. So already it builds on the previous knowledge. That is very important. So this is how we use this particular process or the procedure to frame the research problem. Thank you.